Are you heading off to ABR this year and you don't quite know what to expect? Maybe it's your first time. Well, don't worry, I got you because I have been there in my first year before I started making videos. So stay with me and I'll let you know what goes down. This one was completely my fault. Hey Sprocketeers, welcome back to the channel. My name is Safi Sprocket and today we're diving into a topic around one of my favourite events of the year. I am of course talking about the Adventure Bike Rider Festival. It's also known as ABR Festival or ABR Fest. Now, if you're a motorcycle who loves adventure, the great outdoors, and just having an all-around great time, then this is the event for you. Whether you're a seasoned rider or a newbie who doesn't really know what they're doing, mostly that's me. But there is something for everyone at ABR. It really is a festival made for everyone. But not everyone knows what to expect. So stick around because I'm going to walk you through the entirety of what you can expect at your very first ABR festival. So let's get started. First things first, let's talk about the arrival at the festival. Now, if this is your first time going to ABR, the chances are you will most likely be arriving on a motorbike with a tent, and you're not really quite sure what to expect. Now, there are a lot of people who also come in camper vans and cars, and so if you're not someone who is coming on a bike, don't feel dissuaded. It doesn't really matter. Whatever vehicle you arrive in, ultimately it doesn't make a difference to how much fun you are going to have. Now, driving up the lane to the ABR festival is always one of my favourite things of the festival. And I know it sounds really strange, but it's just that when you pull into the grounds, it has such an exciting atmosphere to it. And I'll never forget just how excited I felt at my very first ABR Fest. And the first thing that you'll come to is basically you'll come to a ticket gate. And as you go through the whole registration process, it's really straightforward. You hand your tickets over, you'll get given a wristband, a helmet sticker, and usually, if I recall, I think a map. If they don't give you a map, don't worry, you can download one, but do make sure you do it ahead because the internet at the ABR Festival is really dodgy. Now, after the registration process, if you're camping, your next port of call will be to go and find a camping space. Now, the festival ground has lots of different camping spaces, and if I recall, it's divided into a variety of different zones. So I remember there was a general camping zone. There is also a glamping option for people who are going to pre-built tents and bell tents and whatnot. There's also VIP camping for people who arrive a day earlier, and if I recall as well, there was disabled camping for people who had mobility issues and a whole variety of problems. Other than that, the rest of the fields are pretty much a free-for-all. They are first come, first serve. That's just how it works. Now, when it comes to picking your camping spot, there is an art to selecting the right spot at ABR. Now, if you're somebody who wants to party late, you get a little bit leery, you're gonna have a few drinks, you very much wanna pick a spot as close as possible to the main stage. Basically, you want somewhere that's within stumbling distance at night. But if you're an early night old woman, very much like me, who gets very cranky if she doesn't get enough sleep, you will very much want to find a spot that's as far away from the main stage as possible, because often it's a lot quieter. You want to look for somewhere that isn't near the toilets, it's just back at the field, and basically you can really get away from that noise at night time. I'm an old lady, I like my sleep, don't judge me, okay? Now naturally you are at a festival, and so the music can get really loud, especially late at night. But having said that, everything does tend to start closing down around midnight, and so even though it is kind of like a noisy time in the evening, it's not insanely unreasonable. Something to be aware of though is that there aren't any lights in the field, particularly further back, and so you do really need to remember where you put your tent and possibly bring a torch, because the second night that I went, I decided to pitch my tent near the back of the field where it was very nice and peaceful and quiet, and I spent a good few hours trying to find it in the evening. It was awful. I was very mad. So don't be like me. Remember where you put your tent. Remember to bring a torch. Pretty much. It's also worth keeping in mind that there are a lot of toilet facilities in the fields. However, these tend to be towards the entrances of the field. So if you want to avoid being situated around long queues in the morning, again, you want to move your tent away from that. Now let's talk about the festival layout. When it comes to ABR, it is very much a miniature village of all things motorcycle. When you come into the main part of it, you'll see this huge festival stage, which is usually where the live music is being held. So usually at ABR you have two main stages. You have the big stage and the smallest stage. Both of them are basically where the big talks and presentations happen. You get to hear from adventure riding legends, industry experts, and sometimes some magic surprise guests will show up and things like that. It's a lot of fun. There's always a lot of interesting things to see and hear. I definitely, it's worth checking out. It's definitely worth checking out. Now, aside from that, there's also the exhibition area known as kind of like the shopping area. And this is pretty much a gearhead's paradise. You have dozens of vendors showcasing the latest bikes, gears, gadgets, accessories. There's always a lot of companies as well doing fun competitions and giving away freebies. And basically this kind of area you get to ask a lot of questions about the products. And it's also a really great place to pick up deals. So if you are in the market for some new gear, or just even want to go and have a look at some products that you were thinking about buying, basically it is a motorcycle shop. But unlike other motorcycle shows, a lot of the vendors tend to be tailored towards bikers who are specifically adventure riders. So you get a lot of things like luggage companies, and one of my favorite ones is Shad, so don't forget to go and check them out. But you also get like adventure riding clothing companies, and where you'd go to like a bike show and you'd have items for like track racing and all that kind of thing. It very much is tailored towards a very specific type of rider, which to be honest I prefer. I think you get a lot more quality stands. And of course the big attraction of the festival is the dedicated off-road area, and this is where the real fun happens. There are several different off-road areas and you'll find a whole variety of off-road tracks and trails designed for different kinds of skill levels. So whether you're a beginner or experienced off-road rider, there is a track for you. Something else I want to point out is that ABR is all about the loan bikes. Pretty much every manufacturer shows up with a whole variety of loan bikes, and you can pretty much test ride anything, and it is so good. You can just go off for an hour or two. They have organized group rides. They also have them on and off the road. So they have like set circuits on the road that they all go out together, and they also have these set circuits on the off-road trails as well. And it's pretty much a free-for-all if you want to go and test some fun bikes, but you don't necessarily want to set aside days to go and rent something from a dealership, or maybe you're a little bit worried about excess charges. ABR is definitely the place to do it. Now, a word of caution is that people usually start queuing for the demonstration bikes about an hour before registration opens, and so if the bikes are going out at 10, it will very much be the case that people will start registering for them around 9. But in order to make things a little bit fairer, what the manufacturers do is that, number one, you can't register for other people. So if you want to take a test ride bike out, you very much have to be physically in the queue with your ID ready to go. There is no exceptions. They will not allow you to register a friend, because otherwise everyone would send their friends to different queues and everyone would register for them. The other thing they do is that you are not allowed to register for the test rides in advance. And so if you line up for a test queue around 9 AM, you can't book yourself onto the 3 PM session. They don't allow that because it's not fair. Otherwise, again, people would just be queuing and then they would just get themselves test rides all throughout the day, and there would be people who don't. So they have set sessions. You can just go back, ask them when the sessions are, and then come about an hour before those. Now, if you don't fancy getting up early in the morning, and there is a specific bike that you want to test ride, my best advice is waiting until Sunday afternoon, because the vast majority of people start to pack up Sunday morning, and it's very much the case that you will get onto a test ride Sunday afternoon and you probably won't even need to queue. The vast majority of people are starting to leave the park. There's no more queues anymore. And so if you really want to test ride something, again, Sunday afternoon is the best time to go. Now on to the next topic, which is activities and workshops. One of the best things about the ABR Festival is the variety of activities and workshops available. Now for starters, there are guided rides out, and these are group rides led by experienced guides who know the area like the back of their hand. And it's a great way to explore the local scenery and meet new people, and also learn about a whole variety of riding techniques. And these rides are usually categorized by skill level, and so you can choose one that suits your experience as well. So you don't have to worry about having to keep up with people. You can just find people who have a similar skill set. Now workshops are another highlight. You'll find sessions on everything from off-road riding techniques to bike maintenance to travel photography and adventure planning. And the experts often run these workshops in the field, and so you're getting top-notch advice and tips. So do make sure you check the schedule and don't miss any workshops that might interest you. Onto the other entertainment, there is live music, there's movie screenings, there's campfire stories, and there is of course the food. We cannot forget the amazing, fantastic food stalls and trucks, and they offer everything. Anything you can imagine, they sell it. It is so good. It is so good. And every year, I always look forward to the slushie machine. It's my favorite thing for the whole festival. I love having a breakfast slushie, don't judge me. On to the next topic, which is the social aspect of the festival. One of the most rewarding aspects of ABR is just the sense of community. I love it so much. Motorcycling, especially adventure riding, always has this fantastic way of bringing people together. And every time I go to ABR, I come back with a whole new plethora of friends. I meet riders from all over the country, and sometimes they just have the most funniest stories. And I have such a good time just getting to know people and getting to talk with everyone. Something that I always appreciate as well that I feel like never really gets the recognition it deserves is that there are plenty of social events at ABR as well that aren't orchestrated around alcohol. So they have like the barbecues as well, they have like some group activities, and there is even this really wonderful hut that they do every year, which is kind of like sitting in like a Norwegian snow hut, and they serve cups of tea, and people come and listen to folk music and drink cups of tea, and it honestly, it's so wonderful, it's so fantastic, it's definitely worth a mention. Now, if you're going to ABR Festival by yourself this year, don't worry. Do not worry. I too went to my very first ABR Festival by myself. I managed to get a ticket about the day before the festival's happening. I didn't really know anybody else who rode bikes. I didn't really have anyone else to go with me. And I ended up going by myself. And I'm going to be honest, on the way down, I felt a little bit sad because I was going by myself. And a festival, when you think about it, is usually something you'd consider traditionally to be like a friend group activity. And so I felt a little bit embarrassed the first year that I went that I didn't have a friend group to go with me. And honestly, it was such a moot point because once you get to ABR Festival, you can arrive by yourself, but you are very much not going to be by yourself the entire festival. And I give it like 15 minutes before someone comes and invites you to ride with them. If I could describe ABR in one single phrase, it would be the more the merrier, because it is such a welcoming atmosphere and everybody is very much there for the same reason, which is to ride bikes, do dumb stuff, and have a lot of fun. Alright, so before we wrap up, I just want to share some tips for making the most out of your very first ABR Festival. And of course, tip number one is always try to plan ahead. I'm not one of those people that plan ahead. ABR Festival is one of those things you're going to want to plan ahead because there are planned rides out, there are planned workshops, and there's lots of activities at specific times. And you really want to make sure you don't want to miss something that you get a lot of benefit out. So do make sure you do check the schedule ahead. The other thing that I would suggest is to pack smart. Now, make sure you bring all the essentials. You need your camping gear, you need your riding gear, you need your comfortable clothes, and you need some clothes for walking around in the evening. You do not want to be walking around in bike gear for the rest of the evening while you're having a half pint. It's not comfortable. Now, something that is incredibly essential is you need to make sure that you download your DVLA license code before you get to the festival. When you arrive at ABR Festival, there is no internet. There has never been any internet. It is a huge internet blackout. Everybody is trying to get online at the same time, so it just doesn't happen. It does not happen. You will not get online. So make sure you have your license and make sure you have your DVLA code as well for the manufacturers to check that your license is valid. If you do not have these things, you are not getting on a test ride. I know people who had to go off site to a petrol station to download this information to get them on a test ride because there was no other way that they could do it. And by doing so, they missed their slot for their test ride. So it is so essential that you have all of this information. And if you can, print it out rather than having it on your phone because you don't want to be reliant on tech when tech is not very good in the circumstances that is ABR. The other thing that I would say as well is that it's not like a campsite. It's going to be really difficult to charge your gadgets. It's going to be really difficult to charge your phone. It's going to be really difficult to charge your camera. Bring power banks. Bring as many power banks as you can. You're going to need them. You're going to need them. It's really hard to find anywhere to charge stuff. And even if you do, it's most likely going to be like a trickle charger off a generator, and you'll be lucky at best. So bring plenty of power banks. Now, people always ask me what is the most important thing to pack for ABR, and it is simple: liquids. The most important thing to bring with you is liquids. It gets so exhausting running around this festival. It is very much an active festival. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement, and quite often the queues for bars can get rather long. I cannot emphasize how important it is to bring those sugary sports drinks. You are going to sweat so much. There are a lot of points around the festival where you can top up with clean water, but you got to imagine that when everybody is going out riding for the day, and then obviously the test rides stop around 6 p.m, everybody flocks to the bar. They flock to the water taps, and it is pretty much like a herd of buffalo going to get drinks. And so if you have a tent that is full of sports drinks and full of things to keep you hydrated, you are gonna save yourself a lot of stress and save yourself a lot of time. You really do want to bring as many provisions with you as possible. There are food stalls and there are bars. You are paying food stall and bar prices. The food is fantastic, the drinks are great, but again, you need to be aware that you are very much paying for restaurant prices. Now, of course, there are shops outside of the festival, and there are a lot of petrol stations around for people to fuel up. And basically, don't rely on these. I remember going to a petrol station on Saturday night at ABR Festival because I really wanted some fizzy juice, and pretty much the entire shelves were cleared out. There are thousands of people that attend this festival, and pretty much all of the petrol stations in the vicinity get completely wiped out. They make a lot of money, I can assure you, but just play it easy, bring stuff with you. Whatever liquids you think you might need, triple it. It is better to pour some away at the end of the festival than get dehydrated ultimately. And then finally, the last piece of advice is just to relax and have fun. Remember that ultimately this festival is about enjoying yourself. Don't stress too much about sticking to a strict routine. Just try to go with the flow, try to go with the atmosphere, try to have a great time. And ultimately remember that this is there for you. You are there to have fun, and so go with what you find fun. Do the things that you enjoy, and ultimately come away happy. That's why you're paying to be there. You're paying there to have a great time, so make sure that you have a great time. So there you have it. That is a rundown of what you can expect at your first ABR Festival. It is an incredible experience. It's one of my favorite events every year. I look forward to it every year. It was an event I started going to before I was a YouTuber, and I'm sure that it will be an event that I continue to be going to for a long time. I just love it so much. I love being active. I love being outside, and although I love going to bike shows, something that I always find quite lacking is that interactive aspect at a bike show. Like, I love going to look at bikes, don't get me wrong, but I love riding them a lot more because we are bikers, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? And this is why ABR is such a good, fun place to go. So yeah, I hope that you guys have a fantastic time at the festival. I will also see you there, so feel free to say hi. I don't bite. I will look at you trying to work out if I know you previously or if we've just met and you're a fan of the channel. So if you could tell me, that would be like super cool. Other than that, I will see you guys there. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the weekend. And in the meantime, ride safe, stay crazy. My name's Safi Sprocket, signing off.
This one was completely my fault.